I'll get started. Okay. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm so excited and a little. As everyone knows, well, we took questions ahead of time and we got a lot of questions. Um, so I definitely want to try to address all the questions that we got, and I'm gonna do my best effort. So that means I might have to move things along sometimes, but definitely feel free to jump in. This is a discussion. I don't want anybody to feel like they're being spoken at by any means. And if you have experiences to share too, please, please, please jump in. I would love for you to. So I think a good place to start is obviously we're going to talk about sexuality, but when it comes to relationships and intimacy, I think that it's important before we get into like the functionality of sex and sensation and adaptive tools. I think it's important to talk about getting to that place and how to get to that place. For me, I know that it has to do a lot with confidence building, building up your self-esteem, um, how how you come to feel desirable, sexually desirable to others. So I know that I have my perspective. If there are other people that have a perspective on how they worked on getting to that place, becoming confident, I would love for you to jump in and share your story. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm Natalia. I am a C6, C7 quadriplegic. I've been injured for 19 years. I like to fuck. No, I'm just playing. But I've dated the gamut, able-bodied, paras, quads, it's a revolving door. I'm playing again. Um, but yeah, that's me. If anybody would like to give their background, you can do that too. But that's the first place that I want to start. For the people who've had their injuries for a little while, perhaps maybe share how you got to a place where you were comfortable having sex. Um, what I'm gonna do first though is I'm gonna give some of the questions that were asked so that we can start kind of thinking about that as well as they come up. So for instance, things like feeling comfortable with someone seeing you naked, with like muscle wasting and spasticity. I wonder about having pressure sores and leg contractures as well when having sex. I've had sex with a pressure sore, but I would love to hear other people's perspective on how you handled having sex with pressure sores, because I'm sure people have um, issues about reaching climax and delayed orgasm. Um, if it's recommended or safe to date another person in a wheelchair, that's another question that we got, or a person with paralysis or a spinal cord injury. Um, what else did we get? Building confidence, that's where I want to start. Oh, having a romantic relationship with a caregiver. And be it that they were the caregiver and it goes into a relationship, or if you're in a relationship and it turns into that person becoming your caregiver, how you navigate that. And oh yeah, and toys. Toys, toys, toys. But we'll get to that later. Hmm.
Toys, toys, toys.
Yeah. So I'd love to start there. Does anyone have perspective on confidence building, how you
Can
got your
I say
sexy
something?
back? Yes,
Can
my
I?
love. Go.
I was born with a disability, so I've never had an issue with with. I never really had an issue with confidence. I just, 'cause- I mean, ever since I was a little girl, I mean, I've had men look at me. Maybe maybe it was because of the big tits. I don't know, but
That'll do
you
it.
know,
That'll do it.
big tits and ass that will do it.
I will verify that will also very much do it. Sure.
Yes. So and I so I was confident from a young age, because everybody can, and my brother would always put me down and say, "Oh, you're not cute," but I look exactly like you, motherfucker. So what are
Okay.
you talking about?
Brother has to.
My brother would always say, "Oh, I'm good looking. I'm good looking." Well, if you're good looking, so am I, bitch.
What can we do?
Huh.
But we
Well,
can.
here,
Go for it. Go for
how about I chime? Because um, I was injured when I was 40 years old, right? I've and up to that point, like lived a very full life of traveling the world, definitely a bit of a adrenaline junkie, very sexually active on a level, and being stripped away in multiple way, like as a man, like being stripped away of like that sense of your identity, especially, at that time of my quote unquote manliness, like, it's like as a party, because honestly, like I remember when I was laid up in the hospital, um, I like the words came out of my mouth is I don't care if I can walk again. I just want to be able to feel my 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 cock. I want to be able to go to the bathroom. I want to be able to, like, if I can have that, like I'm good, in that sense. And of course, like in that early stage of the what we're talking about is like the self-confidence is like, you're like completely removed, like your identity. Like I look at myself in the mirror in a wheelchair and I did not like what I saw, and that's a huge problem. But obviously, from my experience and my trajectory of like building, like rebuilding myself up and regaining my identity, and understanding that just because I'm in a wheelchair does not, like, I'm still me. I'm just different in a different way. But like in order to build that back up was obviously starting um with the rudimentary of, okay, uh, being able to just go outside and do things on my own, and then migrating up to establishing myself with adaptive sports and stuff that I really love to do. And then after that, like, and once I started branching out and seeing, holy shit, like not only am I like, if not as good, better at doing these things like now, like post injury, it built up this level of self confidence, like, oh shit, I got this shit, right? And then that translates like going. So when I started going out and just I kind of threw myself out into the world. You know what I mean? Like my friends were forcing me to go out to bars and whatnot. And that's the testament, right? Like when you roll into a room. And when I would first like roll into a restaurant, whatever, the going into that feeling of myself being self-conscious of like, I would always say it's like the wheelchair in my heart and in my mind, it was the wheelchair rolling into the room, not me. Like people were seeing the wheelchair. And eventually, I don't know what it was. Like, I mean, again, this is like over the time span of everything, of just me working on myself and doing the things that I was doing. Like, like it being active in the world and forcing myself out there, even in that uncomfortable space that I was in. Eventually I started being noticed. The wheelchair wasn't the first thing I rolled in a room. It was like, it was me. Like when I rolled in a room, people, they gravitated to my energy. And then where this migrates to, like, being noticed in a sexual way, that's when, because I was still a little bit like, okay, well, who's gonna really look at me in a sexual manner, like with a wheelchair? But then it just started happening organically because like I was exuding this sense of confidence and a level of like, like I don't give a fuck. It was almost like I don't give a fuck, in a sense. And then when I would see a young lady like macking on me, I would lean into that. Like it was like kind of like, like my true self was coming through again. And there it is. Like, so like, migrating, like it just kind of naturally, like, just kind of took shape and took form over time, because, and it all started in the foundation of just becoming independent wheelchair user, and putting myself into these, like, even though, like, uncomfortable, like kind of pushing through those uncomfortable moments of, like, self-doubt, like all those negative thoughts that like rattle around in our brain that like hold us back from moving forward. And just kind of being like, fuck, like shutting those voices down and being like, fuck that, just go out, see what
It
happens.
despite the voices. So it's
Right.
like rather than starting with trying to find just go for oh, I want to be sexually desirable, you started to get into other things that had brought you joy in the past.
100%. Like, even though, don't get me wrong, man, I was very depraved of like
Thirsty.
oh man, I was wanting yeah, it's like, but I had to divert my energy elsewhere because like until we work on ourself and become like that sense of that inner, so because they don't like, nobody wants to be with somebody that's I don't know, that's like a lost puppy looking
Yeah.
to attach themselves on. Like, you want to hold your fucking own. You want to bring something to the table, being like, oh no, no, let me show you what I'm going to show you. You're not going to show me stuff. I'm going to show you stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
I
and
love it.
that most definitely will migrate into the bedroom as well. You know,
I love it. Thank you. What do you
yeah.
So I'll double down on what Woody was saying. I think it all really like starts like I got hurt pretty young. So I got hurt when I was like 13, 14. And so I was like in the midst of like kind of developing my manhood. And long story short, like I lived a life where I had to become very independent very, very quickly. So the only way that I really kind of like found any sense of like confidence in myself is basically finding like confidence in what I can do like literally on my own every day. Like everything from like picking things off the floor to self-cathing to getting in and out of my chair to going outside to hanging out with these wild mofos at like whatever mock
think?
concerts that we were going to every year. And then just slowly, like, just kind of like gathering it by doing other things to kind of gather your confidence generally, right? Like, I know for a fact that I can go outside by myself. I know for a fact that I could go get drunk by myself. I know for a fact I could get myself home by myself safely. I work every day. Things like that are great. And I would also add on like finding a good partner, right? Like, um, my first real girlfriend in there and we would just experiment, man. Long story short, I would just be like, hey, listen, I don't know what I can do, right? Like, I actually really don't know what I can perform with you and what, like, I will even enjoy. So we'll just have to play around. And we did for months and months on end, no judgment. I talked to a lot of people in community and just saw like what worked for them. Like, were you taking Viagra? Are you doing like certain exercises or something beforehand? And then eventually I came upon like different medications that I can use and we can implement together and, found my way. And
Nice.
then also like don't really rely on like, for men, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone with a disability, but ED is a pretty prominent thing in our community.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just gotta learn other skills, right? Like,
Yeah.
like use your
Yeah.
tongue, use your hands, right? Like just because you're quad doesn't mean your fingers can't do stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and like just kind of like actually do research and ask your partner what she's into and figure out the stuff for yourself, you know?
Yeah. I can't wait to get to toys because all the I feel like I hear a lot of men, that's the first thing that they go to, like, oh, my dick doesn't work and like life is over. But there's one, the rest of your body does, and what that mouth do, you know what I mean? And there's so many adaptive toys. Like, I can't wait to get to that part, but and I do want to get to that part. Thank you for sharing. It sounds like you, for me, and for some people find it controversial when it comes to finding myself sexually desirable again. Yes, I did the work to try and present myself in a more confident way, even if I didn't necessarily feel it, especially when talking about sex. But when I started to engage with people, that was when my confidence came up. Like, oh, I can be a sexual being because I have been a sexual being, whether like I necessarily could feel certain things or was into it or knew what I was doing. I knew that I was sexually desirable, and that was the foundation for me, and it grew from there. Are there any other women who have perspective on gaining confidence and feeling sexually desirable as a person?
I'd like to speak, but on the other side, I was born with my disability. So when I was 16, I think I started experimenting with myself. And then it's it was hard for me because I didn't know how to teach somebody what I liked. And then when I said, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and whatever happens, happens. And from young, I could say that if I didn't know myself, if I didn't know my body and what I liked, I wouldn't be able to teach somebody. But that's how I basically I teach. I've taught, teach, well, however you want to call it, um, what I like and what I like to do. And if you're not into that, then I'm sorry.
And so
But
you feel like you learned your body first
I
before.
had to. I
Okay.
had to because of my paralysis. I'm from hip down, and it's gone to where, even in my vagina area, some parts I don't feel. So
Mhm.
I had to learn me before I could teach somebody how to do something for me.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's self-taught in my view.
Okay. Cool. We have any other women with perspective?
I'm here. I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
pressing the buttons and the phone. Of course,
You're
they want
very
to
sexually
call.
confident.
Yes,
Yes.
I
And
am.
how do you feel you got to that place? What do you think it takes to get to that place for somebody who's struggling to get there?
What does it take to somebody to get to that place you're struggling? You have to really be real with yourself. And I say be honest and tell your partners what you can do and what you cannot do. And then it's hard to know what partner you pick because you don't know how they feel and things like that. Some people are very afraid.
Yes.
But with my experiences, um most of the guys that I'm with are able bodies. So some of them were curious, of course, and then some of them just was I was just that person, that they everything was okay. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I got the confidence. Huh? I guess by the time I reached in my 30s or 40s, I started feeling more loving myself more. Okay, I am attractive. I am this. I am that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I didn't have anybody particularly to tell me that. Besides, like, when you have your girlfriends and they're all around, oh, you're so pretty, you're so this, you're so that, you should do that. Like, I got confidence in the way of that as well. But as boys, they're young. They, how you say that word? When they looking and with the tongues out and all, they all do that
Oh,
all
oh,
the
oh,
time.
oh, Oakland?
Lurking like a
Yeah,
dog.
yeah. So I started to notice that more and more as I got older. I started at 14. So, but as I got a little older and older and older, I saw that I was attractive. I was a person, that somebody was interested in sexually or even as just a person.
Hmm. Hmm.
And my confidence is still pretty high. I still go out there and I still look men in the eyes and I still look them up and down and I still
That's
flirt
right. I
and
know that's right.
everything.
I know that's right.
I still look at them. They looking at me, so I start looking at them, and then they get all shy, and I was like, "Well, you was looking, so what is it?" And then they be shocked because I speak up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's, I think,
Hmm.
a lot, it seems like a lot of us have that same shared experience that other people showing interest in us help get our confidence up. I think it's hard for people to say that a lot of the time because
Hmm.
you want to find it within and you want to be independent and do it all yourself. But I think realistically, it does raise your confidence when other people are interested in you, and that's
Oh,
okay.
it does.
Yeah. And I think another thing that you tapped on is being vulnerable. I've just, it's never gone wrong. It's never gone wrong for me to be vulnerable. Yes, heartbreaks happen and this and that and the third. But when you're vulnerable, and I also mean when it came up for me is like in the vaginal area, and I have a hypersensitivity issue now, but
Okay.
before I didn't, right? But I became so when for me, this is the kind of vulnerability that I'm talking about. At that time, I couldn't feel my vagina, but my anus was hypersensitive. You know what I mean? And I'd never done any kind of ass play before my accident, but now I've had every kind of tossed salad like on the menu. And you know, and that took me being vulnerable and knowing, you know, I have bowel issues. Something could happen, and it has. And I have had bowel accidents on two different people, and none of them were my boyfriend, and both times they were just like, okay, so you want me to clean you up and like just, you know, just ready to keep going. So that also raised my confidence, like, oh, this isn't even an issue. And so
Well,
I,
it's also the person that you're with, clearly. Like, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like on a level of it, and I mean that plays a huge part in that, without a doubt. And if I may, like on the other spectrum of that, you know, and this has happened to me, and I think like this comes along with the level of confidence as well. It's like um where I'm interacting with somebody and they're you know like giving me like comments and whatnot that like that are just a genuine, like they're being nice, but I'm misreading it on the other scale and I overreach a little bit and then they shut me down, and not allowing that to bring me down or like take me to is like, oh, it's because I'm in a wheel, or even if it is because I'm in a wheelchair, not let that knock me off of my pedestal, you know what I mean? And again, like I know that's taken time to you know get into that mindset of that, but I just had to throw that on the table too, because there is that, you know what I mean? It's like when you're out and about and you have those interactions where it's just like, oh, like you get a little kick in the nuts, like to your ego, just being
yeah,
like,
little humble pie.
yeah, a little humble pie, you know? It's like,
But I think we
oh,
have
okay.
to remember that, like, no matter what, injured or not, everyone deals with rejection.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly, and not take it as like, as you know, it's because I'm in a wheel, even if it is like, you know, I don't, you know, because obviously in my mind it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, it's like I you know, obviously if someone's not interested in you, it's like, why would you be interested or try to, you know, pursue that lane anyways? But
yeah.
I just had to throw that on the table as well. Because I think it's important, because rejection is going to happen,
Yeah.
even when you put yourself out there, right? But you can't be afraid of just having that experience too. You know, it's just like kind of just shrug it off and keep going.
Thank you. I think that we should talk about sensation and how we manage the lack of it, or for some people, the hypersensitivities. I know that's a huge issue for me. Um, I'll just start by saying, and I brought this up in our earlier meeting, there, of course, everybody's sensation is completely different, right? So for me, I have a hypersensitivity issue. And so when I'm going to engage, like I couldn't just have sex like that. It would be painful. It would be painful. So I need to take like pain medicines, nerve pain medicines, sometimes anti-anxiety medicines, because that's what calms my body down. But the benefit that came of that is the reason why I was able to like engage with other paras or other quads is because keeping it above here is who brought up the feather? That I the just hearing the thought of a feather by my ear or by my neck or by my clavicle like sets me off so much. And so I wonder how other people manage their sensation issues.
Yeah, that was you that brought the feather up. I said just kissing on my neck and kissing on my ear could get me going, but you know, I guess you had it. But yeah, send just different parts of your body. You just knowing your body and learning and exploring yourself before getting involved with anybody is could be a good thing. But hypersensitivity. What is that? What does that feel like when you say hypersensitivity? Is it a good feeling? Like if somebody is on your neck, right?
Well, it depends. If they're too if they go too hard too fast, it's not enjoyable at all.
Okay.
Like I need a very, very, very slow burn. And so I think that's where that advocating for yourself and knowing what works for you and what doesn't. And and even if you don't know ahead of time, when it's not working for you in the moment, I know it's difficult because I know sometimes we can feel that lack of self-confidence and like we might not measure up to other able-bodied people if you're dealing with somebody who's able-bodied and you want to kind of just accept what's happening. And you don't need to do that. Like I forgot one of the guys brought up that they had a super pubic and somebody was just riding it way too hard. You have to stop people. I've had a catheter in and people just want to throw it to the side and it's like, hey, that's a medical device, like slow down. You have to be able to tell people, have the confidence to at least do that. When it doesn't feel right, just stop it. And I want to bring, we were talking earlier about AD, autonomic dysreflexia. Um, it happens a lot and it can be very dangerous. And so like I've heard certain men that say they'll take like two Viagra pills and it doesn't matter if they have an erection, they'll die hard. You know what I mean? But you could actually die. Like it could send your pressure up. So that happened to me. I think I was like maybe 2 months into my injury and somebody bought me a toy and I tried to use it at the hospital and I was still hooked up to the telemetry and my pressure went up to like over 220 or something like that and people had to rush into the room. It was the most embarrassing thing in my life. But I learned a very valuable lesson that that feeling of my it could feel like that's excitement. But we need to be conscious as people with spinal cord injuries, we need to be conscious that it's a medical condition and it can be very, very dangerous. Has
Yeah, it's
anyone else
very
ever
real.
experienced AD and how did you manage it? And what caused it? Do you know?
Oh, uh, I tried to take Viagra for the second time, and the first time it didn't feel great, but the second time I was already having like low blood pressure issues, and that shit sunk me to the fucking floor.
Oh,
Like,
it went down.
yeah, I went all
Oh,
the way down. Like,
Oh shit.
I went to a point where like my girl just came in one day and was like, "Hey, your dick is hard, but you look like you're gonna die. So, don't do that." I was like, "Oh, yeah, right, right. That's yeah, sex is fun, right? It's supposed to be fun. That's how
oh,
that's supposed to go." And it is actually kind of that reminder though for me, like it's supposed to be fun, right? Like you're not supposed to like do all this stuff just to feel like you're reaching a goal of like, getting back to like you want to over satisfy your partner, so you're gonna kill yourself to do it. And like, what's the point of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like after all, what's the point of that? They don't enjoy that, you don't enjoy that. You need
both
to like
ways.
figure out how to do that stuff, man. And like I ended up learning this trick how to bring my blood pressure back up. Um, when I do have moments like that,
Hmm.
where I basically kind of just like lean forward. I take a little bit of salt, drink a good bit of water, and I lean forward and it kind of like helps me re-regulate myself.
Okay.
But I mean, there's a few things that go into that. Like one, you have to play. So I did have to take that Viagra to figure out that like I was gonna die.
Yeah, definitely. I had sex a couple of times before I got to ejaculate after my injury. And
Hmm.
it got so frustrating when I wasn't coming. They was having the time of their lives, right?
Okay.
But because I was on Viagra, but they was getting off, but I wasn't getting off. So one day I just told my aide to close my door. I popped the Viagra and I just went to work on myself until I came, right? But then when I came, my heart felt like it was beating out of my chest. So I didn't even get
Wait,
to
with
verbalize
your
to
hand?
call her.
With
Say
your
again?
hand? You with your
Yeah,
hand.
with my hand. I did it myself,
Okay.
but when I did that, I said, damn, like I can't see anybody going this hard on me to make me come. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, Steph, what's the sense of dying if you're gonna go for that thrill, but then you're gonna be dead? Like, what's the sense?
So I don't want to die. How do we avoid severe AD? I'm
I
not trying to die
I think
yet.
I know personally you can start to feel your pressure rise. You can start to feel like warm. You start to feel spasticity. You start to feel your heart beating. That's the beginnings of AD. And at that point is when you should probably either slow down or stop and let your pressure regulate itself again. So that's what I would say about AD.
Yeah, I'm with that 100%.
Yeah. Um, I wonder how do people manage like spasticity and like contracture if anyone has had. I mean, I know there's some people who stretch a lot so that they don't have those issues, but
So I have monumental spasticity. I mean, to the point, honestly, in the early game of my injury, I was refusing taking medication, including baclofen, where I actually, it probably would have benefited me in the early game of my, because, I have the double whammy of spasticity and neuropathic pain, the two fun elements that come with a spinal cord injury. But what I will say, so now it's like I take baclofen and whatnot, but to your point, I stretch like keeping my body like this right here is the key of like for myself, even though regardless of like how sexually active I am, but this definitely improves in the bedroom of like how fit I am with my body, and able to hold my shit together like on a level, and to the point of when it when go through my sessions in the bedroom, it actually like it helps with the neuropathic pain and the spasticity. It actually like because of the rigorous activity that's going on in there and everything, and the activity that's going on in there, that it literally it kind of tampers it down. Like in the aftermath of like the orgasm, and we're talking about sensation. That's another component of this that I found over the time of exploration in the bedroom, is that in the evolution of the sensation in myself, even around my pelvic area, that it's not the same as what it used to be, obviously, and like with the ejaculation and whatnot. Like I do ejaculate from time to time, but when it comes to orgasms, I've tapped into this world of like once I'm in this zone, it's like this rolling orgasm that just won't stop. And you just carry it on and on. And like within in that spectrum, it's like it's a buildup. Like, in the world of like, foreplay is your friend. We're talking about toys, like the toys are all out, you know what I'm saying? And we're just like, it's playtime, and like working up to this place to where I mean like Natalia and I were chatting a little bit earlier, and I was like, there's no like quickies in my bed, you know what I'm saying? No, we're going to be in there for a little bit of time,
yeah, yeah,
and it's playtime, and just exploring and being playful, and just the full spectrum of that. So like, just for and I know everybody's different, like within their injuries, but I certainly find for myself, and especially with both spasticity and neuropathic pain, because we all know that with the neuropathic pain, when you distract your mind from something else, it pulls you away from that.
yeah, yeah.
So I find, it's like truly, like I would say, is like,
Oh, shit.
good for us. Sex is actually therapy too.
I love that you brought that
Okay.
up. So I didn't have multiple orgasms before my injury. And that feeling of that, I thought I was imagining it. Like, is this like an hour-long orgasm? Like it's just rolling on. And a lot of that would just come from my hypersensitive areas above here. Like I,
Right,
I orgasm from just having like my breast sucked. Like that
right,
never happened before. But that
right,
took taking time, going slowly, learning, exploring, being open to those kinds of things.
right.
I think I love that you brought that up. But yeah, so in terms of spasticity, we're hearing stretching. You didn't want to take medications, but there are medications that can help with spasticity. So I mean, I think that would be the best answer to that question, how to handle like leg contractures and spasticity. But along with that, is pressure sores. Has how do people manage having pressure sores while having sex? I certainly have, and I have it on my tailbone. And those are times when it's like scary for me to let somebody like enter from behind, like in my vagina, but enter from behind because I'm like the sweat, and even if I have it covered up, like I'll have it covered up, but the sweat and stuff, I don't want it to get infected. And then doing it missionary, like from the front or something like that, like the friction is going to be terrible. So I think in those moments, again, you have to be open-minded, or it's good to be open-minded and vulnerable and maybe try a position that you haven't tried before, like lay on my side and just lift. I can do that. I can lift my leg up. Again, stretching helps. I can lay on my side and just lift my leg up and this person enter this way or do whatever they're going to do. But does anyone else have tips for handling like pressure sores during sex? Okay, cool, cool. Well, put your creams on and cover up, I think is all I can say about that, right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I never experienced that. You
yeah,
know,
I'm
I
very,
mean, like my pressure sores were in the earlier part of my um pressure sore, like wasn't really or in the earlier part of my injury, like was when I was having pressure sores and I wasn't really in that sexual. I mean, even though, yeah, I just wasn't there during that time. So,
okay. We have a couple questions about how to manage like erectile dysfunction and different things that work for that. We'll get to that because I want to I have a couple websites pulled up of toys that are good for us, adaptive toys, help with positioning and things like that. But before then, we did get a question about, is it possible for a woman with a spinal cord injury um to have sex that will lead to pregnancy? That's a hard yes. Um, does anyone want to comment on that? I'm looking at you.
You're looking at
You
me.
go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I accidentally got pregnant.
oh,
Yeah, I was on the pill even. Yeah, so everything still works. Have a 26-year-old child now as a
God,
result.
thank
So,
God, thank God.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
good.
So,
But yeah, the pregnancy is challenging for sure. Transferring and all that becomes difficult, and you can have lots of AD during childbirth and all that. But yeah, so you need to take the same precautions to avoid pregnancy as before.
okay. And childbirth, how was that for you?
I mean, for me, it was fine. I had an epidural because I do have some sensation. And I think I told you this story though. Like I threw up and she basically came out. Like, so I, it was kind
Forgot
of,
about that.
it was kind of crazy. So I never had to do the whole like pushing thing. Like I didn't even realize she had come out. Like we pulled the covers down and there was a baby there. So yeah, that was a little crazy.
That's
But
wild. I forgot
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, definitely. You can absolutely get pregnant, so be careful.
Yeah, I
So
think sometimes after the spinal cord injury, your period might stop for a period of time. I know mine did. But once you're having a cycle, and even if you're not having an obvious cycle, you can still get pregnant.
yeah.
Yeah, mine
And for the
stopped like
fellows,
for like 3 or 4 months until I came back.
Mine stopped for like 2, 3 years.
Oh wow.
Mine was like 4 or 5 months, I think.
Yeah, like ballpark probably like 4 months in. When I came back, my mom was like, "So she goes, yay!" I'm like, "Yay!"
You can still have
well,
babies.
for the fellas, you also
Let's
everything is
go.
also still working, so you can still have babies as well. So don't think you're out of the race. You know, you'll come out of there and
You're saying
you'll
like
be a father.
if you're not like if it doesn't like visibly if you're not visibly ejaculating that you can still impregnate somebody, that's what you're saying?
Yes, all together. So the spinal
Yes,
cord injury didn't stop anything. You know what I mean?
you,
So
you
it's still
can
happening.
because pre-cum still has sperm in it.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. That's true.
Okay.
And I had 4 babies, so all natural. So
Yeah,
I was
don't think
good.
the spinal cord injury is birth control.
That's the bar. That's the bar. Spinal cord injury is not birth control. You can do that. I want to share. So there's this company called Sports Sheets.
huh.
Get out.
Yeah, and I want to share some of the stuff that they have. So, this is it's just sportsheets.com. And They have a lot of tools for like positioning, like the wedge. Uh, I use pillows personally, but I mean, these are great too. I think a lot of us use chucks too, but they have like a protector for the bed for leakage or, accidents or anything like that. This right here, mm,
That's spring.
mm, it's it's comfortable. Look at it. Look at the bottom. Like the bottom of it, like
Mhm.
has a full, it covers your entire bottom, like to hold you up. Because there are some that are just, they go around the legs. But this, look at that. Full
Oh, I
coverage.
like that. That's full coverage. The other
See
ones I
that?
saw didn't look like
Yeah,
that.
they stepped it up. That's the deluxe, girl.
Oh, shoot.
And she
Shoot.
thick, thick, so it'll hold you up. She look like she got some pounds on
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my
her.
God. Our princess, our pretty, pretty princess. Um, for the guys, look at I think this one is interesting way to do it, but they make these where like the strap on will go upward. So, if the erection is an issue for you and it's not so, oh, kind of like this one that's on the kind of like this, but you can put it on your thigh. So the woman can or person can still face you, ride you, be away from you, ride you, whatever. But I think those are pretty cool too. This is, I don't know if everyone knows what this is, but it's to
Oh,
help
I
like
have one of those.
I do too. So to help like me as the person that would want to be like entered from behind, whoever's handling it can hold that up and hold my body up in a way that I can't do on my own. See, like this.
Mhm.
And it's not even that much money. It's like $40. Um, and this taps into what we were saying about before you try and just jump into having sex and just going ham buying tools. Um, it's important to not only get your confidence up, but try and get your strength up as much as you can. I know
Yeah.
everybody's, level of function is different, but getting your strength up and feeling good and strong and healthy helps a lot. Drink your green juices. I see a lot of men drinking their beet juices because it helps the circulation. If that works, it works. Go for it. But, being in a good, healthy state can help with performance, obviously, just like if you were able-bodied. Um, for my high level quads, I'm looking at you. Listen, go ham. Go ham. You can use your mouth in a variety of ways, but and I don't know, I'm not a man. But
Is that supposed to be the guy's dick in my mouth, strapped
it can
around
be
my head?
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you
No,
want.
I'm just curious.
No, the way that I see this, maybe it wasn't. The way that I see this is for like if I wanted to ride a man's face, but
Hmm.
Ah,
but maybe that's not what it is because this is a woman. I don't know. But then sure, anybody can
What
ride
the
anybody.
Can
hell?
be used
That's
for both.
definitely
I would imagine
What
it
they
could be used
call
for a
what
man
they
or a
call
woman.
Yeah,
what they call pegging.
Yeah.
pegging too. That too.
Mm-hmm.
It can be used for pegging.
be
Oh,
careful
so
with
it's
that
for me to
my
do to
high
the
level
guy.
quads.
Right.
Ah,
Holy crap, look at the price of that thing.
yeah, but it's an investment.
Yes, it is.
An
Well, I mean,
investment.
the wand is just the wand itself. That's an expensive vibrator.
Yeah,
Like it'll last you. It'll last you a long time.
we were talking about oh, again, going back to safety. We're Falco and I, so I'm not gonna I can't get over it. We're discussing being safe with the toys that you buy too. We were talking about our affinity for the Rose, which is like a clitoral suction toy. And there was a time that I bought one on like a very cheap website. And when I received it, my friend put the batteries in it and she's like, is this thing supposed to get this hot? And I didn't know. And it like marked her hand, full sensation. It marked her hand.
Ooh.
I would have burned myself with it. It was, and then when I went back, I didn't read the reviews. When I went back, it was like there was like three of them that were like, this thing burned me. So you have to be careful and it's worth the investment. That's what I'm going to. It's worth the investment. I love these kinds of sensory tools as well. Ooh,
Ooh. Oops.
I like these kinds of tools. Like when I talk about things like feathers, these kinds of things are magical, I think. These are like to put on like your fingertips to kind of rake across somebody's skin. They even have a mitt, you can slide it over your hand if you're a quad gang or whatever. I think those are super dope, but there's a lot of different ways to explore. I mean, these zipper clothespins are sold out, so they're doing something right. To that effect, I couldn't. My injury was from my nipple line down, and
Oh
just
my
the continued sensation and stimulation in my nipples. Now I can feel, and that's why I can orgasm from it. So go crazy, try all the things. Don't be afraid. Well, just be careful.
Just
With
be careful.
Yeah, just don't be afraid. I wanted to show the other toys that we were talking about. Yeah, this brand I like a lot. I like this brand, Love Honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
God.
the wand, that's a classic.
Yep.
Mm,
That
Copper.
gets it. That one gets it done right there.
Yeah,
Which one? Which one?
the
The
wand,
wand.
the
The
wand.
Oh,
wand.
the wands. Yeah, they do.
And I love that because it's long, because I
Yeah,
hate,
I like the long handle things.
yeah, yeah. I love these are how about these? Let's look at these couples vibrators. I love the ones that you can manage with an app. So this is like a set it and forget it situation for me, right? Like once you can get it inserted, then you can manage all of its settings from an app, which I can manage. That's amazing. Yes, it's costly, but I think it's worth the investment. Let's keep
Yeah,
going.
and speaking of like when you like one thing where I find and started to really explore with my partners is that that the vibration, the dual, like the sensation that I get from the vibrator, like when we're in certain positions, like she's on top and we're using either like the rose or a wand, like, and that vibration totally, especially when I'm in that wave of orgasm, it literally highlights on a
Really?
yo, fuck yeah, dude.
I could
At least,
imagine. Yeah.
at least for me, because like I said, like over time around my pelvic area, like there is a sense that I have this sensation that happens that I just kind of have honed into and tap into when I'm being intimate. So, and once it's dialed in and I'm locked into it and it's literally highlighted, then it's just like I'm on that wave. I'm just like continuously riding that wave.
Has
Yeah.
anyone ever tried one of these? I never.
It hurts.
Does it?
It sure does.
Okay, that's not good.
I'm just happy I can feel my balls
Okay.
and penis. And I don't know, I haven't even reached the point because we're still at the beginning stages. So I have a super pube that keeps slipping out. That's what we have to work on now.
Oh, it's
Uh,
slipping out.
It slips out on
yeah,
its
so,
own.
on its own through spasms. They already asked me to go to ER today, but I'm just going to
But
go to my doctor tomorrow.
that has to, well, what are they doing about the balloon? The balloon is
Yeah,
not being properly inflated then.
right.
Well,
That's
Can I
that's the
interject?
nurse's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? I honestly think whatever night aid was here with him did
Yeah.
not place the Foley or catheter properly as he was turned and yanked on it a bit too hard.
Mm. Yeah, you
So
gotta be careful. Gotta be careful with it.
yeah, kind of like dislodged. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, you
All
gotta
right.
watch them, make sure that they're filling that balloon to the correct capacity where it should be. Because it
Yeah,
shouldn't
no,
be like that.
it was great till he got home a few days. So I don't know.
yeah, I don't know anybody else with super pubes to get to a point where it doesn't keep slipping out or
Yeah,
just a
I
lot.
have one. I have one, and the balloon tends to, and I've learned this the past couple of times. So they usually tell you go after 4 weeks, but I always schedule my appointment for 3 weeks. So you
Hmm,
might want to do it every 3 weeks.
okay.
Gotcha.
We go forward.
Does it slip out or after time does it get
No,
lodged in it?
but after a while it starts moving because of the balloon would
Start to
lose
deflate.
its
It
it'll
starts.
lose its, yeah. So it'll start moving around and then it won't be in your bladder anymore and then you'll start leaking on yourself. So
Oh,
go every 3 weeks.
You only got it.
I got you. Thanks for the advice.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
see. They want me to go to ER, but I'm just going to wait it out and
Now
go
I think you should go
tomorrow.
check it out, bro.
Want to get a super bad bladder infection and stuff because you can't pee properly and your bladder's over full for too long. unless you know how to catheterize it to hold you over until tomorrow, that's I think that's what they're saying. We're all saying.
Yeah, it'll be a rough night, bro. Believe me, I've been there.
Very rough. Your AD, you wanna learn about AD?
Yeah, you'll be sweating all
Well,
night.
I never seen
the bag is getting some urine in it, so it's not like nothing's coming out. It's just that
Okay.
I'm getting leakage.
Ah, you got it.
All right then. That's not too bad. I never seen this kind of clitoral stimulator. Has any of our other ladies used like a clitoral stimulator or one of these toys like with the app that you like or recommend or
Nope.
The rose, telling you that rose is.
Wait,
Whew.
you use the rose too? What do you?
Well, I mean, no, with
He can help.
this most recent partner, she ended up getting it,
Okay.
and let me like that became her favorite toy. She like everything else, she was like, "Give me the rose, give me the rose."
Just give it to me.
And it's the one with
the dildo.
the dildo on it. Yeah, that one.
And
Oh
this one is
shit.
a self-thrusting one too.
Yeah, yeah, the dildo, it has like all these crazy settings. I got a doctorate in this motherfucker, man. Like,
Ah.
yeah, man. She like I mean, talk about like a level of foreplay. We have fun with this. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say to the fellas, like you know those remote vibrators too, like the women put in the drawers.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, when you out and about, like when
yeah,
you in
Yeah.
the
yeah,
grocery
Like
store
the
or whatever.
bullet. The bullet.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
real fun. That's fun.
yeah.
That is really
That's
fun.
super fun. They make
Yo,
ones. I actually showed it last week, but they make these little tiny things that look like pads, like menstrual pads for women, so they don't necessarily insert it. I like it because sometimes clitoral stimulation can be a little bit too intense, especially if I'm sitting, because it's way too far under the hood.
Right.
But it has like I wish I could well, I actually have it, but it has like a not an indentation, but like a raised like a ridge. And so it's meant to stimulate like at the labia, which that's another thing. I never had people spend that much time on my labia, just my
Oh,
labia before my clitoris.
yeah,
It's a beautiful thing.
yeah,
There's so many variations of this rose.
yeah.
And again, if you can't, the sucking might be a lot for some people, but if your sensation is low, the sucking might help bring it back. Again, be careful with AD, but these things give you the option of also the vibration.
Yeah, I think like that's a good thing about the rose is not all the settings is the sucking sensate. Like I don't think all. I think there's some just there. It's just a vibration.
Oh, is that right? I only know
I
about the
think.
sucking one.
I think so.
Also, I just want to bring these up for fun, to get inventive and creative and play and about how to stretch out foreplay so that, oh my God, I can't. Okay, there we go. All right. I think these tail plugs are so cute.
Ah.
If
Oh,
you
they are cute.
aren't they the cutest? The
Oh,
tails.
I always wanted a tail. I
Can you
always wanted.
imagine?
I know for me as a woman, sometimes we can feel like, oh, I can't do all the things that like an able-bodied woman can do. Well, that's when it's good to try and get playful. Like this can be something that's cute that helps with the stimulation for you, turns you on if you have anal sensation or are working on gaining that back, but also something that might turn on your partner. It's just something fun.
Yeah,
So it's good to play and be
it's
vulnerable.
all play, man. It's just one big play.
Yeah, that's it.
It is. But yeah, that's my little toy presentation there. Does anyone have questions about toys?
This,
Do penis pumps actually work for people with paralysis?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I tried penis pump. It holds you for a little while. It
yeah.
holds you for a little while. I did it without any Viagra or anything. It helped me for a little while, but it didn't really do the
Give it back.
job like for me, but it was cool. It was cool for the time being.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, for the ladies, since the men have a slew of things and we have lube, what I've heard some people do, sometimes some women do, is you can kind of turkey base lube up there like before intercourse. And
Yeah.
right, and it helps at least get things going, and then you might not lubricate a whole lot, but it may help get that process going for you and make the sex at least more enjoyable. But I'm thinking about the couples, so ways for both of you to help each other. I like that you brought up the prostate. I know for me, like it feel like when I'm having a bowel movement, it feels like very intense. Like, and that's how I knew that I needed to try anal and like ass play and stuff like that, and that you can orgasm from it. So um again, just be open, be vulnerable, be willing to play. Um we did this in exactly an hour. Amazing. I didn't think we would. Um, if we liked it and we thought that there was stuff missing and we want to do this again, please reach out. You all have our email. I would be more than happy to do that again. We all know that. Um, thank you to
We definitely need a
everyone.
part two because you also have all those questions, right? That we can go through.
I know, I know. I
Enough.
No, it's not enough.
There's
On
never
and on.
enough
There's
sex
so
talk. Come on.
At
Hey!
all.
there's so much to like cover and to talk about and just to ask questions. So it's necessary in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, thank you so much, Natalia, for putting this
Thank you.
together. Like, it's very important to keep this conversation going and flowing. So let's keep it going.
Oh,
Yes.
great. Awesome.
Appreciate you.
I'd be happy
Appreciate you.
to. We'll get it together. Thank you,
Much
everyone. Thank you
love.
for your
Thank
Thanks,
you.
involvement.
Much love.
everyone.
Good to meet